Our first speaker is an entrepreneur who's inspired me personally. She's been tutoring for over 10 years and has built a business by gathering a group of tutors throughout the Houston area. She personally works with many area seniors to get into fantastic colleges like the University of Texas at Austin and several others across the country. She knows what it takes to be a top student. I have a feeling she was a top student herself. She tutors mainly with the various private schools around town, but also focuses in Memorial and Bel Air. So please help me in welcoming our first speaker tonight, Neha Gupta, who's going to fill us in on simple study tips to alleviate study stress. Neha is the CEO of Elite Private Tutors.
Okay, so I'm going to survey the room just to find out a little bit more about you. How many of you guys have elementary students? Okay, how about middle school? Okay, high school? College? Okay, so it's a little bit more of a younger crowd. Perfect, because all of my tips are actually geared towards that. So I want to start off talking a little bit about me. I went to River Oaks Baptist, just down the road, and then I went to Episcopal High School, graduated top 10% of my class, spoke at my graduation, then went to UT Honors Plan 2, and then also did a dual degree in communications. Ended up transferring to Rice and triple majored in microeconomics, policy, and managerial studies with a leadership certificate. Now, that's a lot of stats, right? Wow, yay for me. But what I want to talk about is kind of the background behind that story, because with every success story, there are a lot of challenges. First, I actually went to a small public high school called Armand Bay Elementary, where I was kind of bullied when I was really young. It was in Clear Lake. My parents then were gracious enough to send me to River Oaks Baptist and realized that that might be a better fit. My parents came here with $20 in their pocket, and they built a huge business. So they were working 10 to 12 hours a day, every day, throughout my entire educational career. So that meant coming from Clear Lake to River Oaks Baptist, I had to wake up at 5 in the morning and I got home at 6 p.m. And that was from 3rd grade up to at least 8th grade. I studied very hard. A lot of people think I was that student that would be able to just throw my backpack and make A's, but I was consistent and I was constant about making good grades. It was hard for me, and there were many times I melted down both at school and at home. And one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with in my life was the reason I transferred from UT to Rice was my father passed away in a car accident. And that was at 18. And at that point, I really just felt like my whole world fell apart. And I went to Rice, took 21 hours a semester, banged it out, and finished it in 3 years. Because really, college was not the type of experience I really wanted to go through. I just wanted to get out and start working. So, can you imagine that is from the same person? Probably not. Usually we all hear the stats of someone being awesome. But what makes people that are just good and average to people that are outstanding is their drive. And the only thing I've ever learned from is challenges, not from my successes. So, saying all that, I want to know how many of you guys would like to hear the elite method of making A's. Okay, awesome. So, these are very simple tips, but you'd be really surprised at how many students are not doing this. So the first one, if you guys pull out your handouts, I'm going to play teacher today. So you have your notes and you get to fill it in. You'll get to experience kind of what it's like to be a student in school. I know it's been a long time for some of us. So first things first, get an organizer and a planner. Now, all of your moms, I know out of every mom I've met, it is so hard to take time out for yourself. It's actually something you put on the back burner most of the time. So 90% of you actually put it in your planner, found a sitter. They're elementary kids, I'm sure you had to find a sitter. You found a way to get here, and you're here. You should pat yourself on the back, right? It's a big deal to get yourself here. Because we all know there's so many other things that you could be doing on a Wednesday night. Well, these are skills that need to be taught to children at a very young age. And a lot of people forget that. Now, most kids forget when their quizzes are, when their next test is, when it's soccer practice. They expect you to manage that. Well, actually, they need to be managing it themselves. I have a lot of moms that will baby their children and they'll do it for them, and I see them in high school and college and they are floundering because they always want their mom to be doing that for them. But the problem is their mom's not always going to be there. And at some point, you've got to step up to the plate and say, hey, how would I involve you in this process? Let me show you how you organize and how you put your schedule into the calendar view, the day view, and know what you have going on. Now, some of the programs that I've seen are I Procrastinate, which I know is a very funny name, but it's actually an online software that tells you your tasks, sends reminders to you immediately when things are due. It gives you both the calendar and day view, and it also really just gives you an outline picture view of what you have coming up. There's also iCal. I mean, most people have an iPhone or a Mac, or well, I'm a huge Apple user, so I tend to have these products. But in general, there's a lot of ways to sync and always know what's going on using these apps. And then there's the good old-fashioned planner. I actually use all three, but that's because I have so many things going on. Another thing I want to note is finals are 15 weeks away from August 15th. 15 weeks, that's about like 75 days. Most students don't realize, and most moms don't realize how close that is to December. I get a huge chunk of calls from moms 14 days before finals. My kid's making a D. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Well, I'm going to make a very good analogy. It's just like losing weight. I can't make you lose 30 pounds in 14 days. It's just not a miracle I can do. It's impossible to take a 65 to a 95 in 14 days. So the smart moms call me in September, and they call me in January, and we can strategize all the way through because there's only 8 to 9 tests in a semester to make sure that average goes up. So second, and my favorite thing, because I have a love for these, colorful supplies. I love colorful supplies. I'm sure most of you guys do too. Take your kid and let them have a ball at Target and Amazon. Set a little budget, but just let them pick it out because then they really like it and they use it. Now, my suggestions are separate binders for each subject. A lot of kids will like jam it into one binder, shove it in their backpack, and they're like, this going to school. Well, guess what? No one wants to deal with back pain, right? So let's just keep them all separate and encourage them to go to their lockers. Note cards, I like the two-tone color ones, they're really cute. I mean, office supplies have really gone up since I was in high school. They're amazing, aren't they? And then pens, pencils, of course, and then whiteboard paper. Kids do not learn how to write small, and all the time I see kids jamming their notes in colorful paper, and they're not in college yet. So I'm a huge fan of whiteboard paper. And then divider tabs to make sure they know exactly what they're supposed to look for in their binder. And then from a digital standpoint, documents, subjects, dates of exact notes. Because otherwise, they're doing that for hours before finals when they should be studying. The third point is you are who you hang out with. And it's just something that I think is one of the most important tips. You should be keeping extremely close attention to who your children are hanging out with. And this is your right as a parent. My opinion is cut the crazy kids out. Cut them out. And you're probably wondering, how do you judge if the kid is crazy? Well, one trend I've learned over the last 10 years is children are a direct reflection of their parents. Children are a direct reflection of their parents. I have never seen an anomaly, and I've worked for 10 years, hundreds of students. They're exactly like their parents. So what do you need to do? Pick up the phone and talk to their mom. 15 minutes, you're going to know if you want to have lunch with her. If you don't, the kid is probably not that cool. Little tidbit, 75% of kids that hang out with other kids that do drugs or drinking end up doing it too. Hard fact. So, do not hesitate to get to know the other moms. I know we all live in a very busy society, but it is so important and crucial to know this. Fourth, make a lasting first impression. I can tell within 5 minutes if a student wants to be on my doorstep or doesn't. Very quickly. So you can only imagine how fast that teacher judges your kid who's been doing it day in, day out with groups of students. Teachers judge very quickly. So my first suggestion is always sit in the front. Okay, for the people that stop in front. People who sit in the front on average make 10 points higher than the kids in the back. Those are free points. Let your kids have them. If your kid is sitting in the front and asking questions and is being polite, I can tell you, it goes a lot farther than you think it does. Teacher likes you, they tend to cut you a little slack. Something I've seen over and over. My last point, the biggest anti-stress tip I always tell my students. Please review your material over and over after school. Most kids think they can fling their backpack and they're like, oh yeah, I don't have a test tomorrow. No. The truth is you need to go through, look through all your notes, find out where your holes are. Tonight, there are some of you that are not going to fill out the blanks. Because some of you hear certain things and some of you hear different things. So you have to sit there and say, okay, what did I miss? And then go in the next day, take initiative, and ask the teacher, hey, you know what, in section 5, I really missed this one point. Can you tell me what it was? That teacher is going to say, hey, that kid's making an effort. I want him to do well, or her. So that's a huge, huge thing I tell students. Just a little bit about Elite Private Tutors. It's my passion. I have worked in New York, San Francisco. I have done a lot of different things. And honestly, tutoring has always been my passion. I learned it at 16. I was tutoring at 16. I'm so glad my mom let me at that age because I really figured out what my passion was. We actually grew students from D's to A's. We even grew students from A minuses to A's, A pluses. So one of the things I really focused on was making sure that it was really convenient for the mom. Moms are busier than they ever have been, in my opinion. So we have online scheduling, email and text reminders that are sent out the day before. We deliver our tutors on time and they are ready to go and knowledgeable. Another kind of X factor about us is we give detailed reports after every session. So instead of you guys having to stand outside the door hoping that we're going over tutoring and the subject, you actually know exactly what we cover, from what subject they're studying, what their grade is currently, where are the areas of development, where we need help from you to kind of push, what we've assigned them outside of school to do, so that it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. We tutor from pre-K to college. We do SAT prep, and my favorite is college admissions. I do that personally. It's my favorite part of the process. We're really passionate about coaching our kids and taking them to the next level. For us, we really focus on what they're doing right, not what they're doing wrong. Every day, those students are telling themselves, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. It is our job to tell them, you are good enough, you've done well in certain things, let's apply those strategies. And if you don't have them, as a coach, we can make blueprints for you so you know exactly what you need to do.